All right, so we got to find the derivative of arc sine of 1 over x to the fifth. All right, so that means that u is going to have to be 1 over x to the fifth, which is the same as x to the negative 5, which means that u prime would then be negative 5 x to the negative 6. Okay. Well, that's cool. We're almost done, but I also have to remember that when I take the derivative of sine, y prime then would be, oops, got to slide this over a little bit, u prime all over the square root of 1 minus u squared. Well, we said that u prime was negative 5 x to the negative 6 all over the square root of 1 minus u, which is going to be x to the negative 5 squared. Oh, good. I'm done. Wait a minute. That doesn't look anything like my answers. Well, we got to clean it up a bit. So, in the next line, the negative 5 stays on the top. But to make this negative 6 become a positive 6, I'm going to have to toss that x down to the bottom. So x to the negative 6 is the same as 1 over x to the positive 6. Times the square root of 1 minus. Now if I push the 2 through, I get 10. That's an interesting thing there. So I get x to the negative 10, or 1 over x to the 10. Okay? Now, I don't like that way. So what I can do is if I can take, this is going to be interesting, I need to I've got negative 5 over x to the 6, and I need to fix this somehow. Okay, I don't like that negative the negative x. Okay, or the x raised to a negative power. So what I could do is I could push something into that, and see, because I've got 6 x's on the outside, I could push some of those in. Okay, and if I push some of those in, that may change this whole scenario inside here. Well, what would I do? Well, I need to, what can I factor out of here? So the first thing that I would do is I'm gonna clean this up on the inside and make a common denominator. In other words, I've got x to the 10 over x to the 10 minus 1 over x to the 10. Right? Because 1 is the same as x to the 10, all that stuff. And so then on the next line, I got negative 5 x to the 6, and then I've got the square root of x to the 10 minus 1 all over x to the 10. Now this is going to get a little tricky here, but that's okay. If you guys stick with me, it'll make a lot of sense. So then in the next line, I've got negative 5 all over x to the 6 times the square root of x to the 10 minus 1 all over the square root of x to the 10. Okay? Well, the cool thing is that I can pull this out, because if I pull this out, what I end up with is, in the next line, I've got negative 5 over 1, and then this is the same as the square root of x to the 10 minus 1 all over. Now, x to the 10 is the same as x to the 5 squared. So when you take the square root of a square, right, that kind of undoes itself, so I can pull out this x to the 5th. So I've got negative 5 all over x to the 6 all over x to the 5th, right, times x to the 10 minus 1, and that's supposed to be a big, huge square root symbol. Okay? Actually, that looks horrible, so let me rewrite it. We've got negative 5 all over x to the 6 all over x to the 5th times the square root of x to the 10 minus 1. Well, now I'm kind of dividing this thing here by the reciprocal, okay? Or I could reduce that. Now, if I reduce that, what I end up with is negative 5 all over x, right? Because I have 5 on the bottom and 6 on the top, times the square root of x to the 10 minus 1. Well, that was a lot of work. So that gives me, I think, C? Yep. So that one probably most of you guys got